We once believed we understood the origin of everything. A single point, a single moment, a flash of incomprehensible heat, the birth of space, time, matter, and eventually us. For nearly a century, the Big Bang Theory shaped our cosmic imagination. It was simple, elegant, comforting in its completeness. The universe began. Therefore, one day, it must end. A story with edges, a timeline with a first page. But science does not stand still, and truth does not bow to the stories we prefer. When the James Webb Space Telescope opened its golden mirrors to the ancient dark, humanity expected confirmation. A deeper look into its beginning, a sharper image of its infancy. We expected to see chaos, small clusters of matter still assembling themselves, light struggling to break free from the fog of the early universe. Instead, we saw something impossible. Galaxies, big, bright, organized, appearing too early, too heavy, too complete. Like cities that exist before the foundation of the world they stand on. Webb photographed structures that should not be there. Star systems older than the timeline permits, cosmic architecture that contradicts the idea of a simple explosive birth. It is as if we looked back to the first moments of existence and found history already in progress. A universe not just beginning, but remembering. And in that silence, a question formed, gentle but unstoppable. What if the universe did not begin the way we thought? The Big Bang model tells us that everything exploded outward from nothing, cooled, condensed, and gradually built the world. But the Webb telescope has shown us something more mature, more organized, and far earlier than expected, as though the universe skipped childhood entirely, as though creation was not a spark, but an awakening, a continuation rather than a start. This is not chaos. This is structure. The light we see through Webb is older than our assumptions. It holds memory. It carries evidence of stars that lived and died before the universe should have had time to make them. It is like finding fossils in a world that should still be lava, proof of age where youth was expected. Some scientists now whisper a daring possibility. Maybe the universe is older than the Big Bang suggests. Maybe the Big Bang was not the beginning, only the last chapter we can detect. Perhaps there was a before. Maybe cycles of expansion and collapse have happened many times. Maybe our universe is one iteration in a sequence of births and deaths long before our mathematics existed. Or maybe there was no beginning at all, only transformation. A phase change in a reality larger than cosmology has ever dared to imagine. Webb did not break the Big Bang. It unraveled it softly, thread by thread. Not through contradiction, but through inconsistency. Not by noise, but by clarity. And that is where this journey starts. Not at the first nanosecond of time, but in the moment we realized we might be wrong about everything. Not at the Big Bang, but at the crack forming beneath it. A crack filled with light that should not exist. Tonight, we follow that crack. We drift through primordial galaxies that shine like lanterns where darkness should be. We feel the weight of stars that lived too soon, too fully. We ask if the universe was ever young at all, or if we simply arrived too late to witness its birth. Let the thought settle. If the Big Bang was not the beginning, then the universe may have no beginning, no origin, no first breath, only cycles, only transformation, only the memory encoded in light. The James Webb Telescope is not just a machine. It is an intrusion into the past, a keyhole into an age older than theory, a reminder that the universe is under no obligation to match our expectations. And here, in the quiet between galaxies, we inhale, slow, curious, uncertain. Because what Webb shows us is not just science, it is a shiver, a hint that reality is deeper, older, more layered than our textbooks admit. A universe that may not have been born, but unfolded. This is where the story begins. Not with an explosion, but with a question. Not with certainty, but with wonder. And from here, we descend into the unknown. In the deep silence that follows revelation, something shifts. The mind does not return to what it believed. It stretches forward, searching for a new shape to hold. After the images from James Webb arrived, shimmering like messages from a past older than physics allowed, humanity did not sleep the same way. A quiet tremor spread across astronomy, cosmology, philosophy. For the first time in decades, the story of the universe no longer felt finished. Telescopes before Webb showed us infancy. Faint, fragmented light, barely escaping the fog of recombination. But Webb did not stare into fog. It pierced it. And what it found was not the cradle of a universe still assembling itself, but something startlingly developed. Mature galaxies rotating calmly in a cosmic dawn that should have been too short-lived to form them. Heavy elements where only hydrogen and helium were expected. Structures too organized, too complete, to belong to a universe newly born. Imagine opening a history book to the first page and finding not the origin of civilization, but a city already built, full of language, architecture, memory. Webb handed us that page. Red-shifted starlight, stretched thin by cosmic expansion, carried stories of systems that should not exist. Their mass defied the standard model. Their age defied the timeline. This was not cosmic infancy. It was early adulthood hidden behind the curtain of deep time. So the question grew sharper. If the universe wasn't young when we look back at it, then how old is it really? For nearly a century, we believed the Big Bang answered that. Roughly 13.8 billion years, a number carved into every textbook and documentary, repeated like scripture. But now, observing galaxies so mature so soon after T-Arc-0, scientists began to ask if T-Arc-0 was ever a true beginning. Perhaps it was only the point where our mathematics stops, like a flashlight beam ending at the edge of a cave wall. What lies behind that wall remains unlit. Some propose a cyclic universe, one that expands, cools, contracts, and explodes again in an endless rhythm. Not a single universe, but a heartbeat of creation. Others imagine a multiversal landscape where Big Bangs are not rare. They are constant, blooming like cosmic cells dividing across infinite reality. And there are theories even bolder, whispering that our universe did not begin. It transitioned. From what state? Into what form? Webb does not say. Webb simply reveals. In this uncertainty, something fragile and beautiful emerges. A universe without a beginning is a universe without an origin wound. No first cause, no singular explosion, only evolution across scales larger than imagination. Creation not as an instantaneous event, but as a slow awakening that continues even now. Look again at those ancient galaxies. Compact, star-heavy, gravitationally disciplined. They should have required billions of years to form. Yet they stand only a few 100 million years after the supposed birth of everything. Either time behaved differently then, or the universe is older than we believe. In both cases, the Big Bang model loses simplicity. It bends. And so, we breathe. Slowly, willingly. We let the mind widen to accommodate the unknown. Science is not built from certainty. It is built from revision. Every discovery is a stone removed from an old foundation so a stronger one can rise. The Webb telescope did not bring chaos. It brought clarity wrapped in contradiction. something too real to ignore. If we cannot trust the first chapter of our cosmic story, then we are free to rewrite it. Perhaps the universe was never a singular moment, but a continuum. Perhaps time loops, stretches, folds. Perhaps stars lived before our universe was born. Perhaps life existed before Big Bang light ever formed. These ideas are not fantasy. They are permitted by the evidence Webb has returned. We stand now at the threshold of a new cosmology. Not one that erases the Big Bang, but one that expands beyond it. The story deepens. The universe stretches backward into dark territory without a first page, a history without origin, a cosmos older, stranger, more patient than human theory allowed. And in this vastness, we continue. Part 2, Approx. 900 words, there is a moment, just after uncertainty settles, when the mind begins to explore instead of resist. The images sent back by the James Webb telescope were not loud or dramatic. They were quiet, elegant, and devastating in their implications. They did not scream that the Big Bang was wrong. They simply asked questions it could not answer. Questions that stretched like threads into the dark, pulling on the edges of what we assumed was truth. Look closely at those ancient galaxies. Dense, star-rich, gravitationally stable. Their shapes are not the primitive fragments predicted for the early universe. They are structured, spiraled, luminous. Their stars contain elements like oxygen, carbon, iron, materials that should require multiple generations of stellar life to exist. But how could such heavy atoms appear so early if there was no time for previous stars to form and die? Either the universe began earlier than we think, or our timeline is incomplete. The Big Bang model always imagined a universe that began small and unraveled outward, expanding from a single seed of energy. But Webb's data suggests a universe that might never have been small, a universe that may have emerged already carrying history inside it, like a memory folded into space-time. Perhaps expansion was not the beginning, but merely a phase change of something larger, something older. When light travels for billions of years, it becomes more than illumination. It becomes evidence. The red-shifted glow captured by Webb is not just distant, it is ancestral. It holds the fingerprints of the first stars, the first collisions, the first structures that should not exist. And yet, they do. This raises another possibility, one bolder than the rest. What if the universe never had a beginning at all? For centuries, humans needed a point of origin, a moment when everything emerged from nothing. It was neat, understandable, comforting. But a universe without a beginning is terrifying, endless, cyclical, impossible to frame within the lifespan of a mind built for linear time. And yet, Webb quietly points toward that horizon. If creation did not start, it transitioned. If time did not begin, it unfolded. If existence did not arise from void, it transformed from something before. One model whispers of eternal inflation, pockets of reality bubbling like foam in a sea of quantum fields. Our universe may simply be one bubble, one ripple, not the first and not the last. Another theory suggests a bounce, that the universe collapsed before it expanded, that the Big Bang was a rebound rather than a birth, not creation, but renewal. And beyond these lies an idea more profound than even cosmologists admit aloud. Perhaps the universe is not a story with pages, but a loop without edges, a spiral like a galaxy itself, endlessly folding through time. To contemplate this is to feel small and infinite at once. So humanity stands at a crossroads of understanding. The Big Bang may still hold truth, but not the whole of it. It may describe one moment in a cycle rather than the first moment of all existence. We may be late observers in a universe much older than 13.8 billion years. A universe with chapters we cannot read. Webb is the first telescope capable of touching those missing chapters. Not through theory, but through sight. It looks not into imagination, but into memory. Every ancient photon it collects is a transcript of what existed before our cosmos was supposed to be ready. And those transcripts contradict our script. But contradiction is not failure. It is invitation. Invitation to rewrite, to wonder, to let go of origins and embrace eternity. The universe becomes not a childhood story, but a labyrinth of endless corridors. Time loses direction. Beginning becomes illusion. Reality expands beyond birth. And once again, we breathe. In the quiet turning of new understanding, we begin to realize something profound. The universe does not owe us simplicity. We asked for a clean origin, a moment where everything began, because our minds crave beginnings. We are creatures of narrative, and the Big Bang was the perfect opening line. But James Webb has shown us a world that refuses to fit inside a single sentence. The light we see from early galaxies is like a voice speaking from beyond the first page, telling us there were chapters we never read. Not missing pages, hidden ones. We thought early space should be chaotic and unformed. Instead, Webb reveals galaxies with structure, with shape and mass and metal content too advanced for such young cosmic age. Heavy elements require generations of star life cycles. Birth, fusion, collapse, dispersal. Yet these early systems shine with complexity, as though stars lived and died long before they should have had time. It is not just one anomaly, it is many. One galaxy should be coincidence. 6 should be surprise. But dozens, hundreds. This is pattern. Patterns demand explanation. And so science begins to stretch, to reshape itself around evidence that bends old assumptions. The Big Bang remains an elegant model, but elegance is not proof. Webb has offered a mirror that reflects something older than our cosmology can comfortably hold. The further we look, the earlier the universe appears to have matured. Light becomes history, and history becomes contradiction. If the Big Bang marks the beginning of everything, then how can we find structures that require time? How can order emerge before the clock starts ticking? Unless the clock started earlier than we think. There is a thought, subtle as gravity. What if the Big Bang was not birth, but bloom? Perhaps the universe did not appear suddenly from nothing, but expanded like a flower unfolding in a field already grown. A field we cannot see, a field outside the observable bubble of space-time. Matter could have existed in forms we do not recognize, condensed into states beyond our physics. When expansion happened, it was not creation, it was release, like a seed opening. If this is true, then everything we know is only a late chapter. Light is memory of a world before the curtain rose. Webb is not looking at the birth of the universe. It is looking at the moment the lights turned on. When we picture the early universe, we imagine darkness, chaos, cooling gas. But what if it was vibrant from the start? What if complexity is fundamental, not emergent? What if order is older than time? These questions are no longer philosophical indulgence. They arise directly from observation. Every deep field image Webb returns is a map of impossibility. Galaxies too large, stars too evolved, light too ancient. Like finding libraries in a world we thought was still forming words. So physics bends again. New models whisper of pre-Big Bang states, quantum foam, eternal inflation, cyclic universes breathing across infinities of time. In these models, the Big Bang is not an origin, but a hinge, a transition point between what was and what is now. A door, not a wall. And if there was a universe before ours, what else existed there? Stars? Galaxies? Life? Or something beyond even those markers? An intelligence older than expansion, carried through cycles like a spark that never extinguishes. Perhaps consciousness is not a late emergence, but a fundamental property woven into fabric itself. Such thoughts are not answers, but possibilities. And possibilities are the beginning of wonder. Webb has not disproven the Big Bang. It has made it porous, soft at the edges, a theory no longer able to stand alone as a full explanation. We do not abandon our oldest model. We open it. We widen the frame. Imagine the universe as a story with no first chapter, only the earliest one we can read. The pages before it exist, but the ink is too faint to see. Webb is the first instrument strong enough to reveal the handwriting underneath. And so we stand here, between what we believed and what we are beginning to understand. The boundary between certainty and possibility dissolves like dust in starlight. The cosmos grows older, deeper, more layered. The origin of everything stretches beyond 13.8 billion years, like dawn fading into night. In this widening, a strange calm emerges. Not fear, expansion. Not confusion, curiosity. The universe is not smaller than we thought. It is larger, older, wilder, and we are only beginning to touch its surface. In the growing silence between what we assumed and what Webb has shown us, a new realization begins to form like structure condensing out of hydrogen. Slowly at first, then inevitably. We once thought the early universe was simple, a blank canvas waiting for time to paint galaxies across it. But Webb's vision suggests something else entirely. The canvas was not blank. The first strokes of creation were not tentative, but confident, defined, ancient. Perhaps the universe began already knowing how to be a universe. We expected to see chaos, fragmentation, small clouds of gas collapsing over unimaginable stretches of time into stars. Instead, Webb revealed spirals, disks, shapes that require maturity, forms that should not appear in cosmic youth. How can a child be born already grown? How can light from the beginning carry the fingerprints of history? Some scientists say the telescope is deceiving us, that we misinterpret distances, masses, redshifts. But data persists. Evidence builds like layers in ancient stone. And the question does not go away. It deepens. If galaxies grew so quickly, what force drove them? What mechanism accelerated formation beyond our models? Gravity alone is slow, patient, requiring ages to sculpt matter into symmetry. Yet the early systems Webb captured seem carved with intent, as though something guided them, or as though they emerged from foundations already set. Could there have been seeds before stars? Quantum structures imprinted across space-time prior to expansion, patterns that blossomed into galaxies like frost forming on glass? If so, the Big Bang was not origin. It was ignition. A match touching tinder that was already there. And if matter held memory, what else could? Dark matter, for instance, remains invisible yet fundamental. It shapes galaxies like unseen hands. We cannot touch it, but every star obeys it. Perhaps dark matter is older than the visible universe, a scaffold left from a previous cycle. Or perhaps dark energy, driving expansion, is not force but feedback, a pulse from a state before our own. In this way, the Big Bang becomes less explosion, more transformation, less genesis, more threshold. A transition we misnamed, like mistaking the opening of a door for the creation of a world. The more Webb shows us, the more the cosmos resembles something continuous, Not a firework, but a tide. An ocean that rises, falls, expands, contracts. A breathing universe rather than a collapsing or exploding one. And if the universe breathes, then perhaps we exist not in its first inhale, but somewhere deep within its lungs. Consider again those early galaxies. Massive, bright, inexplicably complete. Their existence suggests time is either longer or stranger than we believed. Maybe billions of years passed before what we call the beginning. Maybe physics rewrites itself near singularities. Maybe the universe cycles like a heartbeat across eons beyond counting. And then another possibility whispers, gentle, unsettling. What if we are inside a universe that never began and will never end? A place where beginnings are local, not universal. Where big bangs are chapters, not books. Where time does not flow from zero, but exists as terrain. Landscapes of causality stretching in all directions. If so, the Webb telescope did not show us contradictions. It showed us continuity. We are not watching the universe learn to form stars. We are watching its memory. A memory written in photons, carried across cosmic oceans for billions of years, unchanged by distance. A memory older than expansion, older than time as we measure it. A memory we were not supposed to witness, yet now it hangs before us in perfect silence. This realization does not frighten. It expands. It softens the boundary between origin and eternity. It allows us to consider a universe more majestic than blast and burn. A universe that unfolds like thought, layer upon layer, page upon page, with no first line. And as comprehension widens, we feel something unexpected. Peace. Not because answers are clear, but because questions have become vast. The unknown is no longer threat, but invitation. Webb has placed in our hands a truth not yet fully shaped. That the universe may be older, deeper, more continuous than any story we have written about it. And in this widening of possibility, we continue forward. Slowly, like galaxies drifting across the dark, carrying memory of what came before. In the dim light of reconsidered history, a new kind of wonder begins to bloom. We look into the data not as children seeking comfort, but as travelers stepping into fog, aware that each step reveals more landscape than the last. The James Webb telescope has not broken our understanding. It has widened it until old borders no longer contain meaning. If the early universe was never small, never simple, then perhaps the question itself was wrong. Perhaps we did not witness the beginning of everything, only the earliest moment visible to us. We are limited by light, by what reaches us, by what survives the journey. Even now, photons travel billions of years to rest in our instruments like ancient messengers collapsing from exhaustion. But even they cannot show us before they were born. And so the Big Bang may not be the first page at all, only the first line we can read. The galaxies Webb reveals are like ghosts from a civilization we did not know existed. Their structures betray experience, not infancy. Their density suggests generations of stars lived and died long before they should have. This means one of two things. Time moved differently, or the universe is older than we imagined. Both options force us to lift our eyes beyond familiar answers. Some models now propose a pre-expansion epoch, an era where matter existed in forms we cannot replicate. Compressed, quantum, superfluid. A state older than heat, older than radiation, older than space-time itself. Not empty, but potential. In such a realm, stars could form rapidly, collapse quickly, and seed the cosmos with heavy elements long before expansion made them visible. In this view, the Big Bang was not creation. It was release. other theories speak of cycles: expansion, cooling, contraction, collapse, universe breathing across eternity. If this is true, then our universe carries memory of its previous self like scars beneath skin. Webb's ancient galaxies may be remnants of what came before, reborn, reorganized, not newly created. Imagine a universe with no birth cry, no singular event. Imagine reality as a loop of thunder and silence, endless, seamless. We stand not at the beginning or end, but somewhere in the middle of an eternal tide. That thought is vast. It stretches the mind until time feels like fabric rather than arrow. Beginning becomes irrelevant. Duration becomes oceanic. And the Big Bang becomes a ripple, not origin. But there is something else hidden beneath these observations, something quieter and more personal. If the universe did not begin in fire, if existence did not emerge from void, then perhaps we are not anomalies. Perhaps consciousness, matter, structure, they are not accidents, but inevitable outcomes of a much older design. Maybe galaxies form quickly because the universe remembers how to make them. Maybe creation repeats not randomly, but rhythmically. Webb has allowed us to see the universe not as newborn, but as experienced. Its earliest days look like memory, not genesis. And if the cosmos holds memory, then we must ask, memory of what? Was there a universe before ours? Did stars burn and die long before this cycle began? Did life emerge in epochs so ancient our physics cannot touch them? If expansion is not beginning but continuation, then we may be descended not from nothing, but from worlds erased by time. Our story, then, is not first chapter, but latest verse, an echo of creation older than light. We have spent generations believing we live in a young cosmos. Webb whispers otherwise. It shows us maturity where innocence was expected, complexity where chaos should reign, structure where theory predicts only dust. The telescope has not mocked our understanding. It has invited us to grow beyond it. And as this realization settles, we feel something subtle, a shift in the way we gaze upward. The sky is no longer a story of beginnings, but of continuities, of pages turning on a book with no first words. We do not stand at the edge of creation. We stand within the middle of an ancient unfolding. In this awareness, curiosity deepens. There is more to learn, more to unearth, more light still traveling toward us from before our history began. We listen to it now with different ears. We no longer seek origin, we seek context. And in that seeking, wonder becomes endless. In the expanding quiet of this revelation, we begin to feel something new beneath the surface of thought. It is not shock anymore. It is not disbelief. It is a slow, almost reverent acceptance that the universe may be older, deeper, and more layered than our theories dared to predict. Webb has shown us light too mature for a young cosmos, structure too advanced for cosmic dawn, patterns that should require ages, and yet appear impossibly early, like ancient cities standing at the first sunrise. We stare at these galaxies not as astronomers, but as descendants, trying to understand the memory in their shape. If the Big Bang was not the first moment, then every photon Webb collects is testimony, evidence of a history that lies beneath visible time like bedrock beneath ocean. A record not of creation, but of continuation. And so we ask again, not with confusion, but with wonder. How long has the universe existed? How many cycles of expansion and collapse has it survived? How many eras of stars rose and fell before the one we call ours? Some models now suggest that before expansion, matter may have been compressed into a state beyond our equations. Not singularity, but density. Not nothingness, but presence we cannot yet describe. A phase transition like ice melting to water, water evaporating to vapor. But on cosmic scale, perhaps the universe did not begin. It changed. In this view, our cosmos is not infant, but adolescent. Still evolving, still learning, but not newly born. Those early galaxies Webb reveals are not contradictions. They are memories of a universe already fluent in creation. If that is true, then the Big Bang becomes less an explosion and more an unfolding, like a flower blooming from a seed that has waited through winters of time. Expansion would not be birth. It would be breath. The first exhale of something that had been holding itself in darkness, waiting. Then we look again at those distant spirals, bright and compact, like thoughts forming in the mind of the cosmos. They do not look like accidents. They look like experience. Perhaps the universe forms stars quickly because it has done so before. Perhaps gravity, chemistry, quantum fields. They are not inventing themselves, but remembering. And if the universe remembers, then what is memory on cosmic scale? Not neural, not biological. Maybe memory is structure. Maybe memory is natural law. Maybe physics itself is the imprint of history, the residue of universes that came before, the patterns that endured collapse and returned when expansion began again. The speed at which galaxies form may not be miracle. It may be muscle memory. This thought changes everything. It softens the universe. It gives it age, wisdom. It places us not at the beginning of time, but inside a story already in motion, one whose earliest chapters are beyond our grasp. And so, the images from Webb become more than astronomy. They become archaeology. We are not watching birth. We are unearthing fossils of creation, buried beneath billions of years of dark. But fossils mean ancestors, and ancestors imply lineage. Are we the first intelligence to ask these questions, or merely the latest? If the universe has cycled, if expansion is renewal and not genesis, then perhaps life has risen many times across epochs older than stars. Civilizations may have existed, flourished, dissolved into radiation long before Earth cooled into ocean. This does not diminish us. It expands us. It frees us from the loneliness of origin. We begin to imagine time not as arrow, but as tide. The cosmos does not travel forward. It breathes, and we are one breath among countless others. We exist for a moment on the surface of eternity, illuminated by ancient light that whispers not of beginning, but of continuity. And in this awareness, something gentle settles in the mind, a calm acceptance that the universe is vast enough not to fit inside a single explanation. Webb has not answered the oldest question. It has made the question infinite. We continue, drawn deeper into the glow of data, like travelers moving toward a horizon that recedes but never disappears. In the soft widening of perspective, our understanding begins to feel like breathing. Slow, expanding, deepening with each new glimpse of ancient light. The more James Webb reveals, the more our assumptions dissolve, like ink dispersing in water. We once believed the cosmos to be young, its earliest years chaotic and unformed. But now, through those distant galaxies shining like lanterns across eternity, we glimpse a universe already grown by the time we first see it. Light older than theory, structure older than expectation. We used to think heavy elements came later, created through generations of star birth and death. Yet Webb captures them in the earliest epochs. Carbon, oxygen, iron. Metals forged in furnaces that should not have existed. For such matter to appear, the universe must have already lived, already burned, already aged before our model says it could. For the first time, Science looks backward and sees maturity, not infancy. This is no longer a question of anomaly. It is a shift in the shape of reality. Something deep beneath the Big Bang framework is beginning to move, like tectonic plates under soil. Not destruction, correction, not collapse. Evolution of understanding. If galaxies formed quickly, perhaps time flowed differently then. Perhaps the temperature of early space allowed physics to accelerate. Or perhaps, and this thought lingers like a shadow, the universe simply had more time than we think. Time is not absolute. We know this from relativity. We know clocks bend near mass, near velocity, near gravity's pull. What if cosmic time bent differently near the beginning? What if the expansion we call origin was only a window, opened briefly through which we could see one moment in a timeless landscape? In this widening possibility, Webb's images feel like fossils exhumed from a buried age. They tell a story we were not prepared to hear. The universe may have memory baked into its laws. Gravity remembers form. Quantum fields remember symmetry. Dark matter remembers structure. And if matter remembers, perhaps time remembers also. The past may not be behind us. It may be beneath us. Compressed, waiting. Webb has peeled away the first layer of cosmic archaeology, revealing not newborn stars, but echoes of stars older than expansion itself. So we imagine civilizations emerging in epochs, erased by cycles we cannot track. We imagine minds shaped by physics we no longer have, dissolving into radiation long before this universe was ready to see them. This idea no longer feels like science fiction. It feels like mathematics we have not written yet. We look again at the earliest galaxies, dense, bright, gravitationally bound. They are not chaotic flame, they are architecture, symmetry, pattern, as though the universe knew how to build itself at the moment we first observe it. What if creation was never clumsy? What if emergence is efficient because it has happened before? Some physicists now describe the Big Bang as a bounce, the moment when a universe collapsing under its own gravity reversed direction. A contraction became expansion. A death became birth. Light from a previous cycle could survive, compressed, twisted, imprinted into space-time as seed for the next. In that case, Webb is not seeing contradictions. It is seeing inheritance. The cosmos may be elder, recycled across eras beyond imagination. And we, tiny and astonished, are witnessing the wrinkles time could not smooth away. This realization changes the emotional shape of existence. We are not visitors to a young world. We are inhabitants of an old one. Our universe may hold ghosts, physical truths left behind like footprints from universes gone. Dark matter might be residual mass from cycles long forgotten. Dark energy might be the tension of expansion from previous collapse. If so, everything we see is part of something older than time. We come to a gentle conclusion, not final, not fixed, but spacious. The Big Bang is a chapter heading, not a prologue. A moment of transition, not origin. The universe did not begin in fire. It shifted like a tide. And as we absorb this, something profound happens. Fear fades. The unknown no longer threatens, it invites. With every new Webb image, the horizon of what may be true grows larger, softer, deeper. We do not hold the answers, but we no longer need to. Curiosity is enough. We continue forward, guided not by certainty, but by wonder. In the widening glow of discovery, the universe begins to feel less like an event and more like a presence, unfurling, layered, ancient, beyond measure. We once believed in a beginning, because beginnings make sense to us. But Webb has shown us something far stranger than origin: continuity. Not a spark from darkness, but light emerging from a place we cannot yet describe. We expected to see the first stars as rough, uneven clusters, yet we found elegance. We expected youth, yet we found age. We expected silence, yet the cosmos speaks in memory. The telescope's mirrors, cold and gold like ancient coins, reflect more than light. They reflect time itself. Every photon Webb receives has survived billions of years without losing its story. That story is not one of chaos, but of structure, not one of emergence, but of inheritance. The earliest galaxies seem to know how to be galaxies. As if the blueprint was never written, it was remembered. This forces us to rethink not just when the universe began, but whether it began at all. A true beginning would imply emptiness before. Silence. Nothing. But the cosmos Webb gives us feels lived in, textured, layered with cause and effect. Like we stepped into a conversation already happening. If the universe is not an invention, but a recurrence, then expansion becomes less explosive and more rhythmic. Like inhalation after long-held breath. There may have been collapse before, contraction, pressure building into transition. What we call the Big Bang may have been release, not creation. In this frame, every early galaxy is not a surprise. It is heritage, and heritage suggests predecessors. We begin to imagine cosmic archaeology not as metaphor, but as discipline. Each early galaxy becomes artifact. Each cluster of heavy elements becomes evidence of stars that lived and died beyond recorded time. Webb may be photographing the ruins of universes gone, foundations repurposed into new creation. Scientists once warned against imagining civilizations before ours. Now, they speak carefully, cautiously, but they speak. If cycles exist, life may have risen not once, but many times. Intelligence may have reached heights we cannot fathom, vanished, returned, vanished again. We may be the current verse in a cosmic poem with no first line. This does not diminish us. It expands us. We are not alone in time. Yet to grasp this, we must loosen our grip on beginnings. The mind resists, like muscle unused to stretching. But eventually, understanding lengthens. We see time not as arrow, but ocean. Eternity becomes shoreless. The universe does not start. It persists. And in persistence, there is comfort. A universe with no beginning is not a fragile spark. It is stable, enduring, patient. Not fleeting gesture of physics, but ancient presence waiting to be recognized. When Webb shows us galaxies older than theory, it is not exposing error. It is offering scale. It is reminding us that existence is larger than narrative. We stand not at the dawn of everything. We stand at the visible edge of a tapestry without first thread. Perhaps the Big Bang was only a chapter break. Perhaps time folds. Perhaps beginnings are illusions created by perspective, like horizon mistaken for boundary. We do not see origin because origin may not exist. And as we absorb this possibility, something inside us shifts. The universe feels alive, not completed. Dynamic, not static. Not story with opening scene, but river with no known source. We continue forward, guided by light older than thought, humbled by scale, enriched by wonder. In the deepening hush of revised creation, we begin to sense the universe not as a single tale, but as a manuscript written across endless pages of time. Webb, silent and unwavering, continues to collect photons like ancient letters drifting through the dark. Each one falls into its mirrors like dust from an invisible library. And as we read them, the narrative of cosmos reshapes itself. We once whispered that everything began at once. Now, we speak more softly, more cautiously, as if the universe itself were listening. Because if this universe is not newborn in the light Webb shows us, then what came before must be older than imagination. We stare at galaxies impossibly mature, heavy with elements that required generations of stars to forge them. We thought metal was late to existence, but the early cosmos is full of iron, carbon, oxygen, full of ingredients for complexity, full of seeds for life. This does not look like origin. It looks like continuation. The telescope does not argue. It reveals. It lays the evidence down like stone, and we rebuild the story around it. The Big Bang remains. There is expansion, radiation, cooling. But perhaps it was not birth. Perhaps it was transition, a shift in phase, the moment when one universe exhaled and another inhaled. If this is true, then the cosmos is not 13.8 billion years old. It is older, vastly older, ancient beyond measure. Time becomes oceanic. History becomes continent submerged beneath present light. Webb does not show us the first galaxies. It shows us the earliest ones we can see, not the earliest that exist. And that distinction is monumental. It means there are eras of time hidden from us. Not dark because they never existed, but dark because their light has not yet arrived. There may be civilizations lost to cycles, worlds that burned long before our solar system was dust. We may not be first. We may not be early. We may be late bloom in a garden that has flowered many times. This idea does not shrink humanity. It expands it. It gives us ancestry not in blood, but in existence. We are children of a universe that may have lived many lives, each one leaving trace like rings in the trunk of space-time. Some ask if Webb could be mistaken, if mass is misread, if distance is distorted, if light deceives. But evidence accumulates like pressure beneath tectonic plates. Redshift confirms distance. Brightness confirms mass. Metallicity confirms age. The data does not tremble under scrutiny. It solidifies. So theory stretches to meet observation. Perhaps inflation was quicker than we knew. Perhaps early physics allowed instant assembly. Or perhaps, and this possibility grows like dawn across horizon, the universe was pre-configured. Not designed, but remembered. Laws of nature are not instructions. They are memory of what works. If the cosmos has existed forever in cycle, then physics is inheritance. Gravity is tradition. Light is lineage. Stars form not by chance, but by instinct of matter refined through infinite eras. Webb does not give us answers. It gives us context. It asks us to imagine time not as line, but as depth, not as moment, but as ocean. We stand on surface reading waves while beneath us lies miles of history we cannot see. And in that unseen water lies possibility, not just scientific, but existential. If universes cycle, then intelligence may cycle too. Consciousness could be as recurring as matter. Life may rise and fall like stars, returning in forms unrecognizable across ages. Somewhere, perhaps in eras before the expansion we call ours, minds may have watched galaxies bloom as we do now. They may have asked these same questions beneath different skies, surrounded by suns now buried in redshift beyond reach. This thought is not melancholy. It is connective. It binds us to a legacy we cannot see but can feel. A hum beneath cosmic silence, a memory beneath light. We continue forward, not searching for beginning, but for understanding. The Big Bang remains a moment, but not necessarily the first. Eternity stretches behind it, like shadow. Time is thicker than we believed. And still Webb looks deeper. In the depths of this widening perspective, something subtle changes in how we look at the night. The stars no longer appear as isolated lights scattered across emptiness. They feel connected. as if each one is a surviving ember from an older fire. The James Webb telescope continues to return images of early galaxies that should not exist, structures that defy the timeline we thought defined reality. The more we see, the more the Big Bang shrinks, from the beginning of everything to the beginning of only that which we can observe. A horizon, not an origin. We stand now at a strange intersection of knowledge and uncertainty. The familiar comfort of a defined beginning dissolves, but something larger takes its place. A sense that the universe may stretch backward far beyond what light can tell us. The oldest photons we can capture are not the first. They are simply the oldest still traveling toward us. Time beyond them may be endless, or layered, or cyclic. When we observe galaxies like GN's 11, or even brighter, more massive ones at unimaginable redshift, we do not see youth. We see experience. As though the cosmos did not learn how to make galaxies. It remembered. As though gravity and matter and light have danced this dance before. And if that is true, then every star might be echo. Every black hole might be scar. Every galaxy might be inheritance. Certain researchers now suggest that the universe could be older by tens of billions of years, or infinitely old, with the Big Bang only marking the last great transition. The data is young, but its implications are ancient. Even the cosmic microwave background, once considered ultimate proof of singular origin, may be reinterpreted as relic of a previous cycle, smoothed and stretched like worn parchment. If reality is cyclic, then history is not one line, but spiral. In the spiral, there is no first turn, only motion. The thought settles into us slowly, like gravity. The Big Bang might have been a bounce, a reset, a release of compressed universe into expansion. A universe contracting, shrinking, collapsing into density so complete it became seed, then bursting outward into new form. Not birth, rebirth. And if rebirth happens once, why not many times? Matter returns. Energy transforms. Galaxies rise, dissolve, return again. Time becomes a wheel instead of arrow. We are not the start of the cosmos. We are moment along its rotation. In this model, Webb is not looking into a beginning, it is looking into aftermath, into recovery, into the first structures that emerged after an older universe became this one. The heavy elements we see might be residue of previous cycles, carried forward through collapse like seeds through winter. If so, the cosmos is gardener, not infant. Dark matter becomes more mysterious here, not absence, but memory. Dark energy becomes not anomaly, but inertia from expansion before ours. The laws of physics are not rules. They are habits of a universe that has lived many lives. This transforms not only science, but perception. We no longer ask how the universe began. We ask how long it has been becoming. We no longer ask what came before. We ask how many times. It is humbling to imagine we exist inside only one iteration of eternity. But it is also freeing. It means creation is not fragile. It is inevitable. And then comes the gentlest possibility of all. Perhaps life is also inevitable. If the universe has cycled, then life may have risen countless times, in forms lost to time, in worlds swallowed by collapse, in epochs that ended before sunlight ever reached Earth. Consciousness may not be late accident, it may be echo. Somewhere, across cycles we cannot perceive, intelligence may have come and gone like stars, each time writing its own story across matter. Webb cannot show us those minds, but it can show the environment that could have grown them. A universe that remembers how to form galaxies may also remember how to form life. We stand now not on the edge of understanding, but inside it, immersed. The Big Bang is no longer singular event. It is doorway into deeper history. We have not reached the beginning because there may be none to reach. Only process, only unfolding, only memory written in starlight. And as we absorb this, wonder stretches like horizon, always ahead, never ending. In the widening shadow of eternity, we begin to understand that certainty was always too small a vessel to hold the universe. The Big Bang, once a single, perfect origin, now feels more like a marker, one rung on a ladder of time that stretches beyond what human thought can comfortably grasp. James Webb did not break our cosmology. It opened it. It tore a window in the dark, and through that window we saw light older than our equations allowed to exist. We saw galaxies too complex for a pristine beginning. We saw maturity where there should have been infancy. We saw memory, and memory changes everything. We speak now of cycles instead of genesis, of universes collapsing into themselves, gathering density like lungs gathering air, only to expand again into new form. The Big Bang may have been one such exhale, a release from a previous cosmic inhale that compressed matter, time, possibility into a seed. Not beginning, continuation. And if everything continues, then nothing truly begins. In this frame, the stars we see are second generation, or 10th, or millionth. Heavy elements are inheritance, not invention. Laws of physics are tradition passed forward through collapse and rebirth. Galaxies may form quickly because the universe remembers how to make them. Evolution is not discovery. It is recollection. James Webb's images are not snapshots of creation. They are photographs of history unfolding. Consider the tension this introduces. If time is not linear, if the universe does not proceed from point zero to present, then past and future may be less separate than we thought. The birth of stars may echo deaths of stars from universes before ours. Light may be messenger not of one moment, but of countless. Every photon could carry layers of past cycles like rings inside ancient tree. We begin to imagine time as sediment. At top lies our visible era, the youngest layer. Beneath it lie deeper strata of existence, compressed by collapse, hidden by expansion. Webb has brushed away the surface dust and revealed older stone beneath. But this raises a more human question. If universes cycle, do minds? If existence remembers, perhaps consciousness remembers too. Not as identity, but as possibility. Life may emerge not by accident, but by momentum. Intelligence may be pattern the universe repeats like star formation or gravity. We may not be the first to wonder who we are. We may not be the first to ask what came before. There is beauty in that possibility. We are not alone, not across space, nor across time. We belong to lineage of cosmic becoming. We speak questions carved into existence by civilizations lost to epochs beyond observation. And yet, even as the universe grows older in our minds, we feel a quiet tenderness toward it. Infinity is no longer cold. It is familiar, ancient, patient, a vast parent, not a violent birth. Webb has softened creation. It feels no longer like explosion, but like unfolding. Perhaps existence is not event. It is process. No dawn, no dusk. Only endless transformation. The telescope does not force belief. It invites imagination. Each deep field image is not answer, it is permission. Permission to wonder. Permission to let go of beginnings. Permission to exist inside story without first page. We often feared eternal universe as abyss. Now we see it as continuity. A river without source visible, yet water flows undeniable. We float upon it not knowing where it started, but knowing it moves. And so we continue reading light as language, ancient, silent, infinite. In the soft gravity of this realization, we begin to sense ourselves differently within the universe. We no longer stand at the edge of a cosmic beginning. We stand within the middle of an unfolding that may have neither origin nor end. What the James Webb telescope reveals is not the youth of existence, but the depth of its history. Light that should be young carries weight. Structure that should be primitive carries memory. The first galaxies we see are not stumbling. They are fluent, as though they arrived with knowledge already written into their formation. We watch these ancient spirals appear in Webb's images. Compact, bright, gravitationally disciplined. They are not building themselves for the first time. It feels instead as though they are rebuilding, reforming, patterns carried forward from earlier realities. The universe does not look like chaos learning to organize itself. It looks like order remembering its shape. And so we begin to imagine the Big Bang not as the first breath, but as the latest. A moment where contraction became expansion, where heat became light, where dense memory transformed into open possibility. A hinge between cycles, a turning of eternal wheel. If reality is cyclic, then time is not progression. Time is recurrence. And if recurrence is real, then perhaps nothing fundamental is ever lost. Matter collapses, energy disperses, galaxies dissolve. But their blueprints, their symmetries, their laws return. Like seeds after winter. This view reshapes more than physics. It reshapes identity. We are not anomalies in young cosmos. We are expressions within ancient one. Our existence is not improbable. It may be inevitable. Life may not be late development. It may be recurring phenomenon woven into cosmic fabric. Look again at those early galaxies Webb observes. Their brightness suggests rapid star formation. Their composition suggests generations lived and died. This is not infant universe. It is aftermath of something older, something we cannot yet see, something beyond the reach of our oldest photons. We begin to suspect that the true history of existence lies behind the cosmological horizon, beyond the light we can observe, beyond the redshift we can measure. Hidden not by absence, but by distance. Time itself may be barrier. The oldest era of reality may be invisible not because it never existed, but because its light has not yet reached us, or never will. And yet, its influence is everywhere. In gravity, in symmetry, in the ease with which galaxies form, in the presence of heavy elements before they should be possible. The universe speaks of age even when it hides its early chapters from our sight. Here, wonder becomes quiet, not frantic curiosity, but slow reverence. We are reading history carved into starlight. The cosmos is cathedral built of time. James Webb is our first window into those sacred halls. What we see there is not contradiction. It is testimony. The universe has lived before. It may live again. We may be one verse in song that has no first line, one ripple in ocean without shore, one moment suspended within infinite becoming. And this raises a final, subtle question, one that grows like dawn inside the mind. If reality is not born, but renewed, then what happens next? Does expansion slow? Does contraction return? Will all galaxies fall inward once more, collapsing into seed of next universe? Will memory persist? Will laws survive rebirth as instinct? Will life emerge again and again, each time unaware it has lived before? The telescope does not answer. It does not need to. Its silence is invitation, not to solve the universe, but to feel its scale, to accept that origin is not boundary, to accept that time is not line, to accept that existence is larger than understanding. We move forward not to find beginning, but to witness continuation. Webb looks deeper, and we follow, eyes open, minds wide, letting the universe reveal itself without rushing to close the question. There is no need for conclusion. Not yet. We are still arriving. In the gentle glow of expanding understanding, the universe begins to feel familiar. Not because we comprehend it, but because we are learning to accept its scale. We no longer cling to the idea of a single beginning. Instead, we learn to move through time like travelers in a vast field, aware that what we can see is only surface, only sky. The James Webb Telescope continues to return light that should not exist, structure that should not belong, age that should not be possible. And yet, there it is, shining without apology. The cosmos does not bend to human expectation. It reveals itself slowly, like memory resurfacing. The earliest galaxies captured by Webb seem less like first attempts at creation and more like resumptions, continuations of a pattern older than expansion. Their symmetry feels practiced. Their composition feels inherited. If universes cycle, then matter remembers. If matter remembers, then time itself may be a vault of memory. We imagine photons traveling billions of years to reach us. Tired, stretched, red-shifted into whispers. But what if those whispers are fragments of a much longer story? What if we are not hearing the opening line, but a late verse of an ancient poem repeating itself across eras? The more we consider this, the softer the universe becomes. Not empty, not violent, but rhythmic, breathing, expanding and contracting as naturally as lungs. Stars are born like thoughts and die like exhaled breath. But breath returns. In a closed cycle, nothing is final. Everything transforms. And so we begin to consider our place differently. We are not early beings. We are beings within a long inheritance. We are shaped by laws refined through timeless repetition. We exist not because probability allowed us, but because the universe has done this before. James Webb is not revealing first stars. It is revealing survivors of cycles, remnants refined by collapse, fragments that carry the DNA of universes past, heavy metals dispersed by ancient supernovae, galaxies seeded by matter older than expansion itself. This transforms our sense of meaning. We are not accidents of one event. We are continuity of many. Life may not be rare. It may be inevitable, written into cosmic structure like rhythm into heartbeat. If universes renew, then consciousness may return like a season, always new, always ancient. And yet, in all this magnitude, we remain small, but smallness is no longer tragedy. It is belonging. We are threads in tapestry older than comprehension. We do not need to be beginning. We are continuation. We are expression of universe exploring itself through thought. When we look at Webb's deep fields, filled with galaxies like dust in sunbeam, we do not see beginnings. We see endurance, possibility, time layered so deeply that no single explanation can hold it. We breathe into this, slowly, deeply, letting the mind stretch beyond comfort into wonder. If there was no first moment, then every moment is first. If there is no origin, then everything is origin. The universe becomes doorway instead of boundary, infinite instead of framed. And we move through it gently, humbly, aware that even now we are only touching the surface of truth far older than our species. Webb opens the window wider. We lean forward. The cosmos reveals itself without haste. We arrive now in the quiet where ideas no longer clash with old belief, but flow beyond it. The universe, as James Webb reveals, is not young. It is wide. It is layered. It is older than narrative allows, older than the Big Bang model can contain without tearing at its own seams. We once framed reality inside a beginning because beginnings are human. We are born, so we imagine everything must be. But the cosmos is not human. It is tidal, ancient, cyclical. Its story stretches beyond the first visible light, like ocean beyond shore. When Webb shows us galaxies shimmering with metals that should not exist so early, we are forced to release linearity. Stars must have lived and died before the moment we call creation. Heavy elements formed in furnaces older than the expansion we measure. This means history extends into invisible dark, not absence, but memory. The universe holds its past like rings beneath bark, like fossils buried beneath sea. We read only surface, and so we accept that we stand not at beginning, but at continuity. We witness not genesis, but resurgence, not invention, but retention. Cosmos remembers how to become itself. Perhaps the Big Bang was only thawing, ice turning to water, water to steam, matter to motion. Not the start of existence, but the release of it. A universe compressed into density, re-expanding into possibility. A pulse, not a bang. Breath. And in a breathing universe, nothing is final. Expansion is exhale. Collapse will be inhale. Time rolls like tide. If universes recur, then consciousness may recur too. Not as identical repetition, but as perennial bloom. Life may be season, returning differently each cycle. We may be ancient without remembering. We may speak questions asked before by minds dissolved into background radiation long before Earth cooled. Webb does not show those civilizations. It shows the environment that could have held them. We grow quiet inside this. Not diminished, expanded. We are not alone in possibility, not alone in time. This realization does not give answers. It opens space for them. It replaces finality with horizon. The night sky becomes not map of stars, but archive of eras. Each photon Webb captures is a line from chapter unseen. We read fragment, not full volume. Yet even fragment is enough to transform us. We no longer ask what started the universe. We ask how long it has been expressing itself. Not what sparked time, but how many times time has remade itself in flame. And still Webb observes. Still light arrives. Still the cosmos reveals itself without urgency, like ancient being unfurling wings across eons. We are patient in return. We listen. If the universe has no first page, then every observation is prologue. Every galaxy is preface. Every breath of light is reminder that existence precedes comprehension. We continue, not seeking end, not grasping origin, but moving through eternity as participants, not observers. The cosmos does not speak beginning. It speaks persistence. In this final drift through thought, we do not conclude. We widen. The James Webb Telescope has not answered the question of beginnings. It has dissolved the need for one. We see now a universe not born from nothing, but flowing from itself, ancient as silence, renewed through cycles beyond scale. The galaxies Webb reveals near the edge of visibility do not tremble with youth. They glow with memory. Their light is not first breath, it is inherited breath, passed through eras like flame from wick to wick. We once imagined the Big Bang as a singular heartbeat that launched everything we know. But now we sense a pulse that beats beneath it, deeper and older than creation story allows. Expansion may not be birth, it may be season. A universe breathing outward only to inhale again, folding into density and returning, new and familiar, into light. Time becomes motion without origin. Meaning becomes continuity without boundary. When we look at Webb's deep fields, thousands of galaxies suspended like dew in cosmic night, we are witnessing not beginning, but persistence. The cosmos does not appear as invention. It appears as recurrence. Stars bloom, collapse, bloom again. Elements forged in ancient cores seed new worlds. Life, perhaps, rises like tide on each cycle, unaware it has risen before. Intelligence may be echo. Consciousness may be rhythm. And we, ephemeral yet endless in lineage, are part of this rhythm. We are not observers on the outside. We are expressions on the inside. The universe is not distant. It is immediate. We are built of its atoms, shaped by its laws, illuminated by its history. We do not stand at creation's edge. We stand inside memory we are only beginning to read. There is a moment, lying beneath a night sky, when one feels small enough to vanish and vast enough to contain everything. Webb amplifies that moment. It shows us that our insignificance is scale, not value. We are brief, but not separate. We are recent, but not new. We are a continuation of matter that has lived stars before. In this awareness, fear dissolves. The unknown stops towering. It opens. We feel no urgency to conclude because conclusion belongs to stories with beginnings. The universe is not story. It is unfolding, endless, gentle, tidal. We move through it as breath, each moment expanding into next. If there is no origin, then everything is origin. If there is no first moment, then each moment is first. We do not arrive at knowledge. We enter it slowly, like light crossing distance. And so this journey ends without ending. The Big Bang remains a chapter, but no longer the first page. The oldest galaxies glare softly like truth half remembered. The future stretches backward as easily as forward. Time is not road, it is ocean. We close our eyes, not to finish, but to continue. The universe breathes. We breathe with it. Webb keeps watching. Light keeps arriving. And somewhere beyond the furthest photon, existence waits with patience older than heat, older than darkness, older than time. There was no beginning in this story, only awareness. And awareness has no end.